Managing your business's finances doesn't have to be complicated. In this video, I'll walk you through 80% of QuickBooks in under 30 minutes, covering all the key features you need to know. Whether you're new to QuickBooks or just need a refresher, this guide will help you use it more efficiently. Let's get started. The first place we'll be looking at is the dashboard, which is the first place that you will see when you log into QuickBooks. As you can see on the dashboard, we've got multiple different widgets. The top one here is shortcuts. This will be used for multiple different tasks, such as creating invoices, recording expenses, adding bank deposits, and creating checks. Within the shortcuts, there's the pencil. Within the pencil, you can select up to 10 different things to be highlighted on your shortcut section. For instance, if we add create estimate, record payments, and then hit the save button, you'll see they now appear on our shortcuts section. Another thing you can also do is on show all, you can click directly into some sections. So for instance, if we wanted to create an invoice, we could click on it here. And once it's loaded, we can then input all the data that we're looking for on the invoice. The next section we'll go through is expenses. So on the right hand side here, you can see all of the expenses that are currently showing for the last 30 days. There is the option to change the period that you're looking at. So for instance, if we wanted to look at this just for last month or this month or quarters, whatever you would like to look at, you can select any of the options. From here as well, you'll also see that there's a blue button that says view all spending. If you click onto this, it will bring up a report of all of your expenses, which you can then filter again by periods. Once you're happy with the period that's showing, you can then click on Run Report to update it. The next section is bank accounts, so I can select either the Visa credit card or the current account in this case. These are all of your bank accounts that are connected via a bank feed. So for instance, if I click on Visa credit card, it will automatically bring us into the bank transactions section. As you can see here, we have 8 transactions that need to be sorted, which we will be going through later. The next section is the profit and loss. So this is just a summary of all of your income and expenses for a selected period. At the moment, you can see that it's on last month, but again, this is changeable to however frequent or how often you want to see. You'll also see that there's a blue button again that says see profit and loss report, and this will open the profit and loss report directly. Again, we can change the dates and everything. The next section is invoices. So again, on here, you can see overdue. So this is any of our customers that still owe us money. And then you've also got deposits. So bits that have not been deposited and bits that have been. Again, with pretty much everything on the dashboard, it's clickable to go directly into it. I won't actually click onto it this time, but you get the gist. The next section is cash flow trend. So on here, it's just going to show our cash flow, so money in and money out. Again, we can change the date range, just like every other widget that we've gone through. There's also the option to go to cash balance, which again is self-explanatory, it's just your cash balances. The next section is accounts payable. So this is money that we owe to our suppliers. Again, there's the button to go to the report. So this will highlight all of our payables, i.e. the money that we owe to our suppliers. Next section is sales. So this is all of the sales that we've raised over a set period of time. Again, we can change the dates in terms of the periods that we're looking at. And then lastly, we've got accounts receivable. So this is the amount of money that customers owe us that we haven't yet received. And again, you've just got the go to reports button. The last thing that I just wanted to quickly go through is at the very top, you'll see customize layout. So this is where you can either move widgets around, you can delete them, and you've also got the option to add or remove specific widgets. And once QuickBooks loads, you will see that there is some set ones that you can turn on or off. And if you wanted to add something, you just simply click the button and then hit save. Once that's done, make sure to hit save in the top right. And then the very, very last thing on the dashboard that you can do is, if you're going through the dashboard with someone and it contains sensitive data, then you can hit the privacy button to turn it off, so the person you're speaking to can't actually see it. But the information on the dashboard will only be correct if the bookkeeping is fully up to date. So don't always treat the dashboard as always being correct, because if the bookkeeping hasn't been complete, then there's a high chance that it might get a bit confusing and you might be a bit behind on work. Now we'll go through how to raise a sales invoice. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can either do this through the plus button new at the top. Under customers, there's a section that says invoice. We will select invoice. And then in here, you will be raising an invoice to go directly to a customer. So a couple of key points to highlight is under select a customer, we can either select existing customers or we can create our own one. So in this example, I will call this customer Test Smith. From here, you'll see it says add new Test Smith. If I click on that, it will pop up with the customer information that we can complete. So as default, you'll see that it's completed the customer's display name, but there's also other sections you can include, which we will not be going through today. Once you're happy with all the information, you then want to select Save. Customer emails will again ignore today, but if you would like to, you can send your sales invoices directly to customers. Next section is billing address. Again, this will be completed within your customer's information, but we're not going through that today. Terms, so you can set terms to be whatever you would like it to be. As default, QuickBooks likes to leave it as net 30 days. So for this example, we'll just leave it as net 30. Invoice date, so if you're not actually raising the invoice date today, or you want to change the date, you can always update that. For today's example, we'll just be leaving the date as today. Something else to mention is on invoice number, this will go up in chronological order from when the last invoice number was raised. If we scroll down a bit, you'll notice that we've then got our product and services. So this is where we create items depending on your sale. So you could have, for instance, if you were a gardening company, you could have soil and plants as two separate codes. So under product and services, this is where we can create items. So for instance, on this example, you can see we've already got items for sales, such as employee training, employee celebration, etc. In today's example, I'll go through how to set up a new product and service. So if you select on add new and then go to service, you can then name a service. So for instance, we're just going to call this soil. We'll leave the item service code for now. Category we'll leave for now. The only thing that we're going to want to update in this example is the income account that's used. So for this product and service, we're going to just use services for now and save and close. Once that's then completed, you can then put a description linked to the product and service. So for instance, we'll just put soil again. Quantity, we're going to say that we've got 10 sold at a rate of £5. And you will see that QuickBooks automatically calculates the total. And then for the sakes of today, we're not going to do anything to do with VAT. Once that's then completed, you can either save and send this directly to your customer, or you can click on the little arrow and save and close, and you can even send it through WhatsApp. Another way you can get to your sales invoices is on the left-hand side. You'll see that there's a sales section. Within the sales section, you can go directly to invoices, and then you can just select the word create invoice. However, my personal preference is to always use the plus button just because I think it's a lot easier to see. We'll now go through how to raise a purchase invoice. So if you go to New and Bill, from here you can then select the supplier. So for instance, we are just going to use a random one on our test account. So I'll just go with Bank of any city. From here, it will default all the information that we've already got set up for the supplier. And then under terms, we will select the terms that the supplier has given us. So for instance, we'll go with net 30 days. We'll put the bill date as today, and we'll leave the bill number blank for now. Category, this is the chart of account code that will be used to post our bill. So for instance, with this Bank of any city, we'll just post it to insurance expense, for example. And then in description, we will put insurance for 10 months, for example. Under amount in GBP, we'll put it as, let's just go with £450. VAT, we'll put as no VAT because we're not covering VAT today. Another nice thing you can do is drag and drop bills directly onto the system. So you can see here it says attachments. You can either drag and drop it or click into it and select the file that you're looking for. Once you're happy with all of that, you can then save and close, or again with a little drop down, you can click save and new, and this will open up a brand new bill after completing it as well. If you would like to raise an expense directly, again, we'll go to the new button, and under suppliers, there's expense. So we'll select expense. Payee, again, this can be any supplier you would like. So let's just go with this Julie Hickey. Payment account, so this is the bank account that the money has gone out to for the expense. So we'll go with the current account. Payment date, we're going to just put as today's date. And then payment method, we'll select card. We'll leave the reference blank for now. And again, category, we'll just post this directly to insurance again, for example. And then again, we'll just put insurance in the description. And we'll put this as £800. No VAT. And then we can just save and close. We'll now have a look at the bank section. So on the left-hand side, we've got transactions and then bank transactions. This will take us directly to the bank feeds. In this example, you'll see that we've got the current account and the Visa credit card connected. For the sakes of today, we're just going to go through the current account. First things that you'll probably notice is we've got for review, categorized and excluded. For review is transactions that need to be coded. Categorized is transactions that have been coded, and excluded is something we won't go through today. On the top left-hand side, you'll see that QuickBooks defaults all of the dates to be shown on the banking screen. However, you can filter this to whatever you're trying to look at. Next to it, you'll see again that we can filter by multiple different things. So in this example, again, it's automatically selecting all transactions. However, there is multiple other things that can help with your efficiencies. So for instance, we can see that there's a couple of bits green, which is good. This means that QuickBooks has a match or has a rule. So on these two here, ATM deposit on the 5th of October 2024, we can see that it's got one match found. If we wanted to filter all of this data to just show our matches, you can do that by selecting this little section here and going to suggested matches. From here, you can then click match individually, or you can do this in bulk by selecting the little tick box and then accept. So just like that, we've coded 2 of the transactions on the bank through matches in a very short period of time. Another thing you'll notice is we've got a rule already created Again, if we wanted to filter this, we can do this by going to all transactions, rules, and there again, we can just see our rules and we can accept that as well. We'll now go through how to post an expense. So we can see on the 30th of September 2024, there's a parking expense. If you click on the parking expense, we will code it to whichever supplier the parking expense is in relation to, but as this is an example, we've just got a random name in here. Under account, we'll then code it to the most appropriate chart of account code. So in this example, we'll post it to travel expenses. And then for the sakes of VAT, again, we'll just put no VAT. If you scroll down to the bottom, you can also add an attachment if needed. If you're then happy with that, you can hit the add button and that will post it to our categorize section. The last thing I wanted to go over is how to create a rule. So on the 4th of October, we have a hotel cost. As we can see on the bank description, it says the word hotel. So if the bank is telling us it's hotel, then going forwards, it should pretty much always be posted as a hotel expense. So if we scroll down to the bottom, there's this little blue button that says create a rule. Once we select it, we then want to name the rule. So this example, we will call it hotel. We want the rule to be set up so whenever the money goes out of the current account and includes this specified rule, which we'll go through now, which is when the description contains the word hotel on the bank transaction line, we want it to do this. If you scroll down, this is where we are telling QuickBooks we want the rule to automatically select it to go to. Category is currently uncategorized expense, which we don't want. So we will click on that and then we will post it to travel expenses. We'll leave the product and services because that's in relation to sales. Payee says it's recommended, but I would always suggest putting in a payee if it's always going to be the same. For this example, again, as it's a demo company, I will just select a random one for now. Tax is always required. This example, we'll just leave it as no VAT. Something very key as well that I think a few people miss out on is at the very bottom, it says automatically confirm transactions this rule applies to, auto add on. What QuickBooks is telling you is when this is turned on, it's going to automatically post it to the bank for you without you seeing it on the banking screen. So it is always important, if you are setting this up, that you only do this on transactions you're 100% sure is always going to be correct. Something else to note is there's also this settings button on the right hand side of the banking screen. If you click on it, you can select different columns, transaction details, etc. But one of the key things that I would say is quite important or may help you go through your bookkeeping is on page size, it automatically defaults to 50. So for instance, if you have a couple of hundred transactions you need to clear, you can select different page sizes. So instead of having all of your transactions on multiple different pages, you can have it all in one place. So for instance, we'll just put it to 200. But obviously, as this is a demo, we only have 7 transactions to go through anyway. We'll now go through the reporting section. So if we select reports on the left-hand side, you will see all of the reports that QuickBooks has to offer. We'll only be going through 3 of the reports today. The first one we'll go through is the age receivables summary. So at the moment, you can see at the top, I've got my favorite reports. If you cannot see the reports that you're looking for in your favorites, you can scroll through and click the little star button to add them. Or alternatively, you can go to type report name here and type out a report's name. So we will go through and type in accounts receivable summary and open that up. With every single report, you'll be able to see the report period. You can choose what period you're looking at. We're going to go through the reporting period in this example being last year, and click Run Report. On this report, it will show us customers that owe us money for our services. You'll see that it's split into current 1 to 30, 31 to 60, 61 to 90, 91 and over, and total. So what these do is it indicates the amount of days it has been since the sales invoice has been raised and they've not paid us. In this example, you can see that Benjamin still owes us £960, which we can see is currently sat in the 61 to 90 days, which would raise concerns, and we would want to try and get this money in as soon as possible to help our cash flow. Something you can do with this report is you can export it to Excel or PDFs, or what you can do is email it. If we click email, you can select who you want to email this to and then send it if you are happy. Now back at the report page, so we'll move on to the next report. So as we've gone through accounts receivables, we're now going to go through the accounts payables. So I'm going back to the search section again, and I'm going to go onto my accounts payable aging summary. For the sakes of today, I'll just leave the report period as today, but as I've said with all the other reports, you can customize it to see whatever you would like. On this report, we can see that we've got quite a few payables. Again, age payables is the amount of money that we owe to our suppliers. So it's essentially the very opposite of accounts receivables. We've got the exact same period splits as the receivables that we've just gone over. And again, anything I would probably say that's 31 to 60 days or over outstanding, we would want to try and pay as soon as possible. With both our accounts receivables and our accounts payables, this information is only going to be correct if we are providing bills and doing the bookkeeping. So following on from our accounts payable aging summary report, I've just gone back to the reports dashboard, and we will now have a look at the profit and loss. So if we click into the profit and loss, I'll leave the period as it currently is, but again, you can select whichever period you want to look at. Another key thing to highlight is the accounting method. So it will automatically default to accrual, but we can also select cash if we would like to, and then run report. So essentially the profit and loss is just going to show us our income and expenses. So income here, services. So these are the sales that we've made during the selected period of the profit and loss. Expenses, these are all of our expenses that have gone out in relation again to the period that we're looking at. And essentially what it's doing is it's taking all of your income, deducting all of your expenses, and then giving you a profit or loss figure for the period. One very last thing to note, which is a universal thing that you can do on all reports, is you can customize reports. So at the top, you'll see there's this customize button, and I'm not going to go through everything, but there's all sorts of customizable options that you can go into. I'll just have a little scroll through so you can have a little look. And then once you're happy with that, you will then be able to save it. And that's the basics of QuickBooks in under 30 minutes. I hope this helped simplify things for you. If you found it useful, feel free to like and subscribe for more business and finance tips. Have any questions, drop them in our comments or visit our website for more information. Thanks for watching.